Good morning and welcome to Nora's Dog Training Company. We're here today with our little Beck and Rich, and what we're going to be demonstrating for you today on video is her ability to understand and respond to her formal on-leash obedience commands, the correction and the motivation that we give the puppies when we're working with them, and the training equipment that we're using. Rich is using a regular 6-foot web training leash, and he keeps the bulk of that leash folded in his right hand. That leaves the left hand free to give any correction, and the only correction that we use here at school is a little tug and release on the training collar. And that is the second piece of equipment that we're using. Beck is going to come home with her very own training collar. You're going to be taught how to use that properly during your follow-up training session. Now, Beck is sitting very nicely at Rich's left, which is where all of our obedience training is done. And the first exercise that we're going to be demonstrating for you is heeling. Heeling is proper walking on a leash, and the command is Beck, heel. Now, you're going to notice that Beck now has a job to do when walking, and that is to stay even with your left leg. No dragging you down the street, no making you ski behind her, but staying right with you. Even if you change direction or change pace, she should stay right next to your left leg, and when you stop, she should sit automatically without being told to wait for her next command. So this makes walking your dog a pleasure, and when you stop to cross traffic or talk to someone on the street, she's sitting nicely at your left, waiting for you to tell her what you want her to do next. And the next command that we're going to demonstrate for you is the sit-stay. The stay is a hand and a voice command, open flat of your palm, right in front of her muzzle. Don't use her name, one-word command to stay. You can practice this right indoors if you want to, and you're going to start out at about 30 seconds, and you're going to work up to 3 minutes. When Rich returns back to her, he returns all the way back around to where they started, and she should remain seated until she gets the next command. And he told her Beck, heel, and she got right up and moves right along with Rich very nicely. And everything is about teaching these puppies self-control and focus. He's leaving her in another sit-stay. He walks out to the end of the leash and faces her, and this time, instead of returning back to her, Rich is going to call her. He calls her in, Beck, come. He talks to her as she's coming in, and she's been taught to come right in front and sit facing his knees, and then return back to heel and back sitting. And we will demonstrate that come when command again for you. And like I said, I don't know how big your apartment is, but you can practice some of these in the house because it's stiflingly hot outside, more so in the city. So don't let her go days without practice. So you leave her in a sit-stay, and then you use a happy voice to call her, and instead of coming in and jumping on you, she comes and sits nicely, and then goes back to heel and back sitting. Good job. We're having to cut our videos just a little bit short because of the weather. It's just so hard on the dogs. But the next commands that we're going to be demonstrating for you are your down commands, and there are 2. The first one is with your dog seated at your left. You take your left open palm, push it straight down toward the ground, tell her to down and stay. This is your down from a heel position. You want to start out with this one at about 1 to 1.5 minutes and work all the way up to 5 minutes. When Rich returns back to her, again, he walks all the way around her to meet his leash. And that's an additional distraction, and she remained lying down until he told her to heel again. And she's really doing a good job. I think we have the housebreaking thing mastered. She's doing great. She's such a nice puppy. So nice automatic sit. Always have her seated before you place her into a down. And then it's down and stay, and you walk out and face her. And if you're practicing in the privacy of your apartment, pretty soon you're going to be able to, not in the first week, but pretty soon you're going to be able to drop your leash and walk away and start, elaborating on some of these commands. Now this time Rich is going to call her out of this down. She comes in, she sits beautifully. She goes back to heel and back sitting. Now, the last exercise that we're going to demonstrate for you today is her down from a distance. So Rich is going to bring her back to face the camera, and he's going to leave her in a sit-stay. Remember, always seated. He's going to turn to face her. He's going to use his right hand to give the command, and she goes down from a distance. And you can see the eye contact that she has with the trainer, that she's looking up at him, that she's focused on him, that she's not all over the place and super distracted. She has come such a long, long way in the time that she has spent with us. We have gotten attached to her. She's done a very, very good job, and we want to thank you for choosing Nora's Dog Training Company.